It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. Excuse me, you're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Wednesday, and we got to talking to Vivian with her socially conscious segment, and we started off with the fact that Eric Adams has now dropped out of the race for mayor. Yes, he's our current mayor. He was throwing his hat back into the ring to try this again. And he ended up pulling out. And now we don't know where his support will go, although it was about this big. Yeah, Mom Donnie is in the front runnings of the race. And Cuomo and Sliwa are somewhere behind him. Now, there's a little side story that we got, and that was President Trump opened up a spot in the White House administration for Mayor Eric Adams. And if he were to take that spot in the White House, then there would be room for Cuomo to become the new mayor so that he could push Mom Donnie out. Now, that's automatically assuming that Mom Donnie would not get whatever couple of votes that Eric Adams was carrying. And when I say a couple, I mean a couple. I don't even know who is voting for him to be reelected. I do not know. I can't even imagine. So now it's only a few weeks, and I don't know. Now I'm hearing some stuff about Mom Donnie, scandal, and he's going to support prostitution and all of this kind of stuff. And I don't know whether that's true or not. We really don't have anyone who New Yorkers feel, like real supportive. So I don't know. All I know is the past 4 years, we've been really disappointed. Yes, Eric Adams has been the mayor ever since we've been on It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph, pretty much. Yeah, he took, office in 2001, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, people have been real disenchanted with him. So it's anybody's guess as to who will win this race. All right. Well, $4 billion casino money in the Bronx. Wow. Yes. The old Trump golf course that's like right underneath the Whitestone Bridge, which is on the Bronx side. The Bally's has taken this bid and put it out for a casino there. Now, they claim, as always, that it's going to bring jobs and it's going to lift up, the city, and, the Bronx is going to benefit. We don't see it. No, the ladies all said thumbs down. We don't see this happening and being something good and beneficial for the Bronx at all. We see major traffic. Not only is it going to be major traffic, but they're putting a bid out for City Field Park, a casino there. How many casinos does New York City need? We've already got one out at the Aqueduct, and you're planning on putting two right neck and neck, because the traffic that flows from City Field runs right into the Whitestone Bridge. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know which way we're going with this. This is absolutely crazy. This is absolutely crazy. There's so many other things that we feel, the Bronx, New York City can definitely bring that will pull tourists. And that was just our little pea brains, That's not even like people who are really sitting down here and they've got statistics and all kinds of things. We just going off the top of our head as 4 New Yorkers. So I don't know. But the big story of the morning was about the 32-year-old single mom here in New York who is now facing felony charges because the federal government has accused her of spending $1,800 to start a bakery. Yeah, let me just put it out there like that. Yeah, they said she spent $1,800 on these baked goods to bake some baked goods, and she went on Facebook and advertised it. And boy, oh boy, she could have definitely done something different. Talk about doing something different. Definitely a bad move on her part. And you need to go back to yesterday's episode and hear what the ladies had to say about that plan. Yeah. Woo! I don't know. Maybe you feel differently. Vivian asked the question, was it fraud or was it a hustle? Yeah, we didn't hear a lot from the due time viewers, but boy, did we have a lot to say about it. So when you get a chance, go back and listen to our Wow Wednesday edition of It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and let me know what you think. Okay? Well, that's how we spent our Wednesday. Well, today is Therapeutic Thursday. Yes, the day we talk about our health, whether it's our physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, financial health, whatever health you want to talk about, we're talking about it on Thursdays. Yes. And we have a unique way of talking about it. So it's not going to be like the normal way people talk about it. Okay? So it's about that time to get started. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
We deliberately erased these 5 black medical pioneers whose inventions are saving your life right now. Patricia Bath invented the laser device that revolutionized cataract surgery for millions worldwide, becoming the first African-American woman to hold a medical patent in 1988. Otis Boykin created the precision resistor that made modern pacemakers possible, keeping hearts beating for decades. Charles Drew pioneered blood banking and plasma storage techniques that saved thousands during World War II and established the foundation for every blood transfusion today. Benjamin Banneker published the first scientific book by a Black American, including advanced medical remedies that doctors used for decades. Alexa Kennedy became the first Black female neurosurgeon and invented the programmable brain shunt that treats children with hydrocephalus. These weren't just inventors. They were medical revolutionaries whose innovations are embedded.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Therapeutic Thursday, the day we talk about our health. Listen, we're almost at the end of the week, and today is Yom Kippur, so schools are off, some businesses are closed, so this should be like rolling with people viewing It's Due Time. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to say hello to all of my loyal viewers. All right. So if you're on, the only way I know is if you say hello. Okay. All right. We got to check in from our girl, Ketty. Hello, Ketty. We got to check in from our boy, Serge. Hey, Serge. Hey, Serge. And we got Miss Grace. Good morning, Miss Grace. Hope you're doing well this morning. And I hope you have a restful, and enjoyable, peaceful day. Now, we got to make sure we say good morning to the ladies that hold it down in the background. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey. Good morning. Good morning, Shantice. Hope to talk to you in a couple of minutes. And we're going to say good morning to our girl Anika. Hey, Anika. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Boy, was she sounding bad yesterday. She was so sick. And we're definitely hoping that you're doing well today. Hopefully you don't have to go into the office. You're one of those who, have an office that's closed today. All right. All righty. So you know what we do every Thursday morning. We get our health tip. And today, thanks to our loyal viewer, we're talking about foods that can lower your cholesterol naturally. All right. We know we eat those foods that mess with our cholesterol, and as we're getting older, we can't afford it. No. So stop acting like it and watch what you eat. So I'm going to give you some tips this morning on what you can eat that you can possibly stop taking that cholesterol medicine. Yes. Hopefully you can come down off that and be better just by the food you eat. Okay. All right. Oats. Yes. Remember we talked before about those oats. Powerful. We're going to see how many things fall on this list that normally show up, like berries and nuts and salmon and leafy greens and seeds. But I digress. Oatmeal. Oats. They say it does more than fill you up. It's packed with soluble fiber, which will help reduce bad cholesterol levels. All right. And the best part about oats, you can dress it up with whatever you want. You got the berries and a little bit of honey and, peanut butter, they say. Even peanut butter or almond butter, they say, is very good in oatmeal. And you can actually eat oatmeal any time of the day. Yeah, it doesn't only have to be in the morning. Yes. So don't forget to throw those fruits and nuts up in there and stretch that time that you don't even have to eat. Yeah, because it's extremely filling. Lentils, there you go. Those beans, yes, they say loaded with fiber. These plant compounds may help reduce your cholesterol level. Packed with protein, it's a really good meat substitute. Yeah, they say lentils, if you make them a certain way, they can taste like meat. Now, if that's the case, I definitely need some of that. Yeah. So go run and get your lentils. All right. All righty. Avocados from Mexico. Yes. Avocados, rich and creamy. Yeah, they say that these monosaturated fats help manage your cholesterol. And again, they always talk about avocado toast. And I told you my favorite recipe for avocado toast. So let's see how many things we're going to merge today and get that done. All right. So make sure you get those avocados, and avocados seem to be showing up on more and more lists as we go along talking about our healthy diet. Sweet potatoes. There you go. Remember, I talked about those avocados on toast with some mashed sweet potatoes. Yes, you definitely want to grab that. Let's see what they say about these sweet potatoes. They say filled with fiber and antioxidants. It does definitely help your cholesterol and overall heart health. And you mash them, eat them whole. Yeah, I told you, I put them in the refrigerator, and it's like the refrigeration caramelizes them, and I can just bite right into it. Yes, no sugar, no honey, no nothing. All by itself. Sweet potatoes. Again, get the avocados. Just sprinkle it with a little garlic, a little salt, a little pepper, and what did I put? A little bit of oregano or Italian seasoning. And before you put it on your toast, you spread it, the sweet potatoes mashed. Nothing at all. If you want to, a little bit of butter, but I don't. And put that avocado over it. Woo, will blow your mind. Yes. All right. Salmon. But I tell you, salmon is on this list. We're talking about getting rid of that high cholesterol just by the food you eat, not with medicine. All right. They say packed with omega-3 fatty acids. It is definitely great for your heart health, which will lower your bad cholesterol. So you can grill it, bake it, pan sear it. The other day I had what do you call it? What's the new air fry? All I did was I took a little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of honey, and I think I just put like a little bit of no salt, because soy sauce is definitely salty, but a little bit of pepper. That's it. Oh, butter. And I put it in there, I melted the butter inside that little concoction, and I poured it over the fish. Man, stuck it in the air fryer for 15 minutes. It was so good. Oh my goodness. I think I'm going to have that today. Eggplant. I love eggplant. Yes. Well, high in fiber. They say it really soaks up a whole lot of flavor. You got to know how to cook it though. Yeah, you don't want no soggy stuff. But it definitely helps with your cholesterol, whether you roast it, whether you bake it or whether you put it in the air fryer. Yes, yes, it is very good. Very good. Another secret: eggplant with mozzarella cheese and tomato in the oven. It is delicious. It's delicious. Put it on a piece of like either regular toast or like bread, hero bread, a thin slice of hero bread. It is so delicious. Oh my goodness. And listen, you're lowering your cholesterol. Yeah. Okra. There you go. Okra. Now, okra is an acquired taste, but they say it is a secret weapon to lowering your cholesterol. They say that it will definitely lower your cholesterol when you like just saute it and you're not killing it, cooking it to death. So you're not killing all of the good stuff out of it. And you will enjoy it, trust me. And you will lower your cholesterol. Almonds, there you go. Those nuts, almonds. They say that almonds definitely a healthy fat, and it will definitely help to lower your cholesterol naturally. Just throw a couple in your mouth from time to time throughout the day, and it's the job done. All right. Garlic, another one that shows up on our radar on a consistent basis. Garlic definitely will help to lower that cholesterol and support your heart health. They say that you definitely want to do the fresh garlic. Okay. Because garlic powder is not going to do much. But just cut it up and kind of, saute it in a little olive oil and throw it over your food. Yeah. You could do a lot with garlic. Definitely. Chia seeds. Yes, chia seeds. My favorite. All right. Packed with fiber, omega-3 fatty acids. Definitely, they say, will help support your lower cholesterol numbers. All righty. So, again, make sure that you let it gel up. And you don't want to put it in milk, but any non-cow's milk, any non-dairy milk. You got almond milk, you've got oat milk, you've got a whole bunch of stuff out here that you can use. Okay. And remember, you can put fruit, a little bit of honey. I don't use honey, I use agave, because honey is definitely something that anything I eat with sugar just sends my blood sugar up. So I don't mess with it a lot of honey. I do agave, and it is absolutely delicious. All right. I put the nuts. Let's see how many things I can incorporate that we've already talked about. I put the nuts, the chia seeds in the nuts. And what else? Let me see. Okay, yeah, all of this stuff here, I don't put in mine. Sometimes I'll put chia seeds in my oatmeal. Yes. It'll help to fill you up. Definitely. All right. Apples. I didn't want to say it. I put apples sometimes in my chia seeds. They say that the fiber in the apples, called pectin, will definitely help to reduce those cholesterol levels. So you want to grab that, and just so many different ways you can use this apple. Like I said, I do put it in my smoothies. I put apples in my chia seeds. I put in my chia pudding. I put apples in my oatmeal. Yes. So, and they say leave the skin on because that's where all the healthy part is. All right. And it doesn't matter what kind of apples, red apples, green apples, it doesn't matter. All right. Green tea. There you go. Yes. My green tea. All right. Definitely the antioxidants will help to keep your cholesterol level lower and lower. Okay. Kale, another goodie. All right. You want to make sure. Remember I talked about that leafy green? Told you. All right. Fiber, antioxidants will definitely help to lower your cholesterol as you eat the kale. Okay. And kale can be eaten raw in like a salad. Kale can be in your smoothie. You can just take some kale, sprinkle a little garlic. There you go. Garlic. You can actually eat kale with your sweet potatoes. Yes. And saute it over a little with some olive oil. You can definitely go far. You can definitely go far with your kale. Okay. Let me see. Edamame. Am I saying it right? Yeah. Good, and more good. These are those little green soybeans. They are great for your cholesterol. They are another food you can kind of eat, a little versatile. They say you can boil them and sprinkle them with sea salt. You can put them in your salads. You can put them in your stews. Yeah, soups. Good. Very good food. Flax seeds. All right. So you definitely want to load up on the fiber that is in your flax seeds. Those omega-3s will definitely help with your heart health and lowering your cholesterol. All right. So you got quite a bit of food here. Let me go over these items that will help to lower your cholesterol naturally. We have the oats, lentils, avocados, sweet potatoes, salmon, eggplant, okra, almonds, garlic, chia seeds, apples, green tea, kale, edamame, and flax seeds. And as I continue to say it, I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again. One list always overlaps. So if we take like in 2 weeks' time, if we take the lists and put them together, if we've eaten all of the things that we had on one list, we've lowered our cholesterol, we have lowered our blood pressure, we have, what else? What else did we do? Blood pressure, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. Yeah, you've like killed so many things. Most of the list is just overlapping. You just got a couple of different things here, like the okra and the eggplant, and you could take that off, and you're still killing diabetes and high blood pressure, and lowering your cholesterol. So we are already on the right track. All right. Let's see what the news is talking about this morning. All righty. Wow. We shout out to all of those African American scientists that we heard about in our what do you call it? Our PSA. Excuse me. Mm. Oh, okay. Nika says she's better than yesterday. So, hey, glad that you're feeling better. Gotta drink my green tea, y'all. Mm, delicious. All right, so what we talking about? Whoa, whoa, and whoa. You know, every once in a while, we definitely get these kinds of stories, and all I said is, uh, because it ain't going down in my house. So you got this mom who has to fight for her life against the 13-year-old son. Yo, yo, yo. Out in Tennessee, they are wilding because a 13-year-old in my house, because let me tell you something, this ain't the first time. I don't care what anyone says. So you got a mom who somehow ends up arguing with her 13-year-old son. And the cops have been called out to this apartment complex on the north side of Memphis. And the mother told the authorities that she was cooking when she got into an argument with her 13-year-old son, and he became violent, pushing her onto their second floor balcony and repeatedly punched her in the head. Y'all see this face? You would have one good time in my decrepit state to swing on Stephanie. Cause baby, listen, I gotta go over some rules that existed in my house. And y'all tell me whether those rules existed in your house, okay? So after I tell the story, then I'm going to talk about these rules. Oh, man. I can't wait to talk about those rules. All right. Shantice, we're going to talk about these rules when I talk to the Due Time crew. All right? So remind me to talk about the rules in the house. Okay? All right. Well, she says that he started repeatedly punching her in the head. He left for a few minutes and came back with a tree branch and started beating her with it. See, when you left, it wouldn't have been no coming back. It wouldn't have been no... You left for a few minutes. Those would have been the last few minutes you crossed that doorstep. Because if you had a key, there would have been bolts on the door, chairs underneath the doorknob, anything to keep you out. And the next time you saw my house would have been in your dreams. Yo, crazy, crazy. So a neighbor called who had witnessed everything. So he took this large tree branch that he brought back with him and started beating her with it. And a neighbor called the cops and said that it was one-sided and violent. You know what that means? That means mom was like this or like this. She had her hands down and he wasn't doing anything. He was just doing all the whipping. So she says, as he rained down his blows on his mom, he was pushing her toward the balcony railing as to try to throw her off. And the police said that had she fallen off this balcony, there would have been very little that would have been down there to kind of cushion that blow. So she says, in complete fear of her life, she fought back with a knife that she had in her hand. that she had been holding. Now, I don't know if she went and got this knife for when he came back, but that wouldn't have been the plan. That wouldn't have been the plan. Because, see, that knife should have been in her hand from when she was cooking the first time. So, did you go get the knife and, while he was gone, figuring, you're going to have this knife for when he comes back? You ready for him? So, she said she thought she cut him during the struggle, but he didn't even stop until he heard the sound of the approaching sirens. Now, he left with some friends, and she said they were covering for him as the police officers were trying to find him, but they ended up catching him anyway, somewhere in the area at about 8 o'clock. Of course you're going to catch him. He's 13 years old. He ain't got no money, ain't got no place to go but somebody else's mama's house. So of course he's caught. So they said he didn't suffer any injuries, but mom had a cut there, cut on her near her shoulder, and some deep bruising, and she had to be taken to the hospital. And she wouldn't go to the hospital because she had no one else to watch her other children. So all this went on with the other kids in the house. So now he's setting an example as to, this is how we beat mama. Oh no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, sir, no, sir, and no, sir. We're coming back to that one. Definitely. Definitely. So we got another story where the dad shoots 3 of the kids as the mom fights to stop him. And hooray for mom these days, because half the time mom is involved with shooting the kids. So I don't know what happened. They're not saying what happened actually, but they say that not only did he shoot the children, but he ended up killing one of them. Excuse me. So the kids were 12, 13, and 17. And the father was 44. Well, he is 44. Well, unfortunately, the 17-year-old did not make it. And they say that, they're still in the hospital under critical condition. And mom and a 20-year-old male sibling, so it must be her sibling, were at the house, and they were wrestling the father, which is probably what kept him from killing the 12 and the 13-year-old. They say they don't have a story as to what happened that motivated these shootings, but this is what went down. And this happened out in Michigan. These people, they have lost their minds. Why would you need to shoot a 12, 13, and 17-year-old? Oh boy. This is like, the news is getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. I don't know. So our last story is about the Bronx high-rise collapse. Yes, in Mitchell Housing over in the Bronx, they have what they believe is a gas leak. Now, the interesting part is the workers were actually on site when it happened. They were working there, and they said they really believe that they hit something, and the building had the explosion, and it blew off part of the side of the building. And my sister called me yesterday because she was trying to describe to me what part of the building blew off, and she was describing the part. See that end part there that Shanti says in the picture? That's the part of the apartment that me and my sister's room was on. Yeah. So she was like, Steph, remember where our room was on the point, the end? And she was like, that whole side is blown out. So when it blew, when the explosion happened, it blew straight down the side of the building. And there were people in the building at the time. And thank God for right now, they have not found any casualties. Now, they said that it's good it happened at a certain time because it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and between people going to work and the kids going to school, it that's what pretty much saved people from actually being killed by this explosion. So thank God for the timing of the explosion. So, you've got some people who were in there, and, they're describing, what it was. They had to evacuate the building. They heard explosions. Some said they felt, needless to say, they felt the building trembling. And of course, you can't use the elevator. So, they had to go down the steps. One woman said that she was in there, and her daughter felt the explosion. She just grabbed the daughter and just ran out. So what they've done is they've set up several areas, like they have a bus that was used for a shelter at one point. They have a community room that they were using as a shelter. Some people were able to stay in hotels. I think they said all in all it was two lines, an F and a G line. They said that the lines were gone, and you have like 80 some odd people who needed direct, direct shelter from living on that particular line. And here's one of the reasons why I'm talking about this. Yesterday we talked about putting a casino, $80 billion, I think it was. Hold on. Let me see. 4 billion. 4 billion. Where did I get 80 from? Boy, I sure exaggerated that amount. $4 billion that was going to go into this casino. And I'm going to read you a part of this article. They say that this high rise is a part of a complex in the Mitchell houses that houses 3,400 people. They have been complaining about the maintenance of this Mitchell houses. And although they've done routine safety checks at the buildings, they still have had a lot of complaints about what has happened. They said there are open violations related to the boilers from 2023. And although they're not safety related, it's still complaints that they have had the gas shut down other times before, and they had to have it shut down again now. But there have been complaints that these residents have put in about this smell of gas on more than one occasion. Now, one of the things that I picked up in this article was they said in New York City housing, there are about 500,000 residents. 500,000 residents. And they have they have been addressing chronic problems such as lead paint, mold, lack of heat, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of unsanitary and dangerous conditions such as rodents, heat and hot water outages. And you're going to take $4 billion. Now, all we're talking about are these 500,000 residents in New York City housing. We're not talking about all of the housing in New York City. But this is in the Bronx. And this is what I found so interesting, because yesterday we were just talking about the Bronx. And lo and behold, right in the Bronx. Now here's the thing. This Mitchell houses, they're not far from that, they're not far from the golf course. Yeah. They're not far from the golf course at all. This is in that same area near Mitchell houses where they had the explosion yesterday. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing here? You would sign off on all of this. Oh, okay, I know where I got 80 billion from. 8 billion. They're saying that it's gonna take $80 billion to help to bring New York City housing up to the standards. And already you've tapped into $4 billion for a casino. And that's just the initial expense. That's the initial expense. I don't know. This is like crazy. Where are my people? Let's say good morning to our girl, Tamika.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm coming along. Can't get rid of this stupid cough, but I'm coming along because Lord knows I ain't what I was the other day. So I am well, thank you. How are you?
I am well. Usually the the cough is always that last thing to go whenever you're going through something for some reason.
Yeah, I tell you. Girl, we got some stuff to talk about. I feel like let's talk about it Thursday. Oh my goodness. So, Tamika, we've got a couple of stories, and I want to come back to the last story. But I definitely want to start with the fact that we just got finished talking about $4 billion going into the casinos in the Bronx yesterday. And then we turn around and we got an explosion miles away from a housing complex that has been ridden with problems. And the people have been complaining. But yet you're going to take $4 billion and put it in a casino.
Now, I done told y'all. Yeah, y'all better listen to me. I told you yesterday. I said, ain't nothing. Look, when they say in the Bible, is there anything good coming out of, is there anything good coming out of the Bronx? And you can't even take care of your normal stuff, your everyday stuff. People are telling you that there's a complaint here. There's an issue that needs to be addressed. There's a demographic of people that need your help. But a casino is more important. You raising money for what? They don't have any money. They need that help. Right. Please put the money where it needs to be placed.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe when my sister called me yesterday and she was like, Steph, guess what? And I'm like, what? And she took, and like I said, one of the things she called me about is because we used to live It's funny because they're saying that F and G line of the building, and we lived on the G line. It's that end line right there. And she was like, Steph, that's like right where our room was. She said, that's how the building like blew out and is split. And I'm saying to myself, and we just got finished talking about some casino. You're gonna have a whole lot less attendees over at that casino because you're blowing up your people in the Bronx.
You think?
Like crazy. Let's talk to our Shantice. We got a check in from our boy Majesty. What's going on, Majesty? Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Shantice.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So, we're blowing up the residents in the Bronx who we want to come on down to the casino.
As it was already said, you already trying to hit an unattainable mark with putting it there. Because, I mean, everyone in the Bronx isn't broke at the same time. You know, and now you have this situation here. So what are you banking on? You banking on people attending patronizing your casino before they try to get their housing together, now that their apartments are in the condition that it's in. So you're trying to multiply your money off of people who are trying to stay afloat. How is that a good business plan? So I thought in business you have projections, especially when you're starting out, because you definitely don't want to lose money. You don't want to break even either. The point is to gain a profit. But this is in an area where everyone is trying to just make sure they can maintain what they already have. So you don't care nothing about what they already have and what they don't have. You're just trying to multiply your money because casinos make a whole lot more than what they pay out. Okay, this ain't, like 9 times out of 10, you gonna hit or you're not. Very rarely do you hit. So it just goes to show how they're just trying to rip you off.
Absolutely. Ooh, let's get our girl Vim on and share this conversation here.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm tired. I was hanging out with these party animals last night. Oh my goodness. I don't know how y'all do it.
Oh my goodness. Barely making it, girl. Barely making it. So what's your thought? We just got finished talking about this yesterday. And literally, we're not talking about like across town. We're talking about in the same neighborhood of this golf course. Mitchell Houses is blowing up, right? The same day.
Crazy. And when I saw it, I was like, well, we talking about a casino though. And it's like, if you need that much money to fix up all the housing, any amount of money you're spending on silly things like a casino,
that's right,
is pushing you backwards.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. And when we're talking about NYCHA, all NYCHA buildings need to be redone.
Yeah.
There's lead paint, there's mold and mildew, there's all types of things that is just dangerous for people to be living in, and they need to fix it.
Absolutely.
So $4 billion going to a casino, that money should be saved up so they can get to the $80 billion they need to fix up these apartments.
Absolutely. Every dime should go into the investment of these homes.
Yeah.
And when I saw NYCHA has 500,000 people alone, and they need 80 million. Hold on, I want to see 80 million or 80 billion to get 80 billion to get to where they need to get to I was like, and that's just one section.
Right.
That's not even, talking about the tenement buildings or homes, that people are living in that need to be brought up to code. And people need help.
Right.
Homeowners need help to get these, listen, they're talking about the fact that we're moving into the winter, and make sure your boilers
Mm-hmm.
are, because they've been kind of sitting for the summer,
Right.
that we're supposed to do stuff with our boilers before. What she's crazy.
It's cold.
Make sure we do some things with our boilers before we put them on to ensure that they're safe. Make sure you smell for gas and all kinds of things. And there are people who are actually about to enter into this winter with no boiler.
Yep. Yep.
And where's your
Mhm.
boiler assistance? That $4 billion could go toward a whole lot of boiler assistant programs where people are not, they're not solving on their own. So it's like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
What are you doing? So that's the same thing I thought yesterday. I was like, oh, and a casino will do us just fine. Hello? Look at the side of this building, y'all.
Right.
Look.
We're gonna put the slot machines right there. Slot machine gonna go right there.
People live here. This is not an abandoned building. People live here. It was only by the mercy and grace of God that nobody
No
would.
one was hurt. Yep. And if this ain't no divine sign to tell
Okay.
you to halt your plans, I don't know what is.
When I saw the picture, I was like, oh my gosh, now I know why she called me. Because our room was right there. See those windows right beside the opening? That's our window. That's where our window was. At the top. We were on the 13th floor.
Wow.
At the top. So all these people could have been dead. But here's the thing. So now they're saying that, okay, we're going to let people go back into the building, and we only have to house like 86 people. And I'm saying, are you serious? Who are you putting back into a building that just had a gas leak explosion? Excuse me, we don't know what other part of the building
Right.
Excuse me, we don't know what other part of the building has been compromised.
Right.
Oh my God. I'm just like, I'm speechless. So you put they're sitting ducks. I couldn't sleep up in there.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep up in there.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep up in there.
It's not like it's a structured thing. We're talking about gas. You've seen commercials and things where people just walk by something and all of a sudden, boom. It's not. It's entirely different. Any little thing, can still strike it off, almost like an aftershock.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because when your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors go off, they will tell you, don't take your phones out the house.
Exactly.
Don't do anything. They said remove your what do you call those devices immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Turn them off. Because like you said, anything can set this off if there's some kind of a leak. We don't know. So my thing is, you said you took 80 something people out but left hundreds in, and I'm like, oh my God.
But it is a structural thing as well.
Yes, because it could crack. Anything could be cracked.
Yes, you don't know what that part of the building was connected to, and it shook a little too hard, and now there's cracks in this foundation or in this beam, and that's not safe.
No, these buildings have been up for hundreds of years, and it's like, what are you doing? It's safe, man. You better open up the clear. Listen, again, y'all putting up all these hotels. No problem. You got housing.
Right.
People up in the hotel. You got all these hotels going up for all of the casino attendees. So just tell them to move on over. Go sit up at the casino part, and we'll just put the people in the housing part. It's crazy. Let's talk to our Pastor KL. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies. How
Good
y'all doing?
morning.
How are you?
Oh man, I'm just chipper.
You sound like you. You sound like you just chipper. Oh my goodness. So I'm bringing you in for the next story that I promised I was going to talk to everybody.
Hey, hold on. I want to talk about that gas because I just had an experience in my store.
Oh,
So
okay.
one of my stores, in fact, just 2 days ago, the lawn care was going over the lawn, and he ran over a gas line, and
Ooh.
all you heard was gas, and the chief of the came and evacuated the whole block. Every store had to leave. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. So I do know that experience. And it's a scary experience. One of my stores
Yeah.
called me and said, what should we do? I said, unless you want to be toast, I go home. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So good
Unless
for
you fire
you. Because
Marshall
I know
Bill.
some employers that would have told us to stay.
Right. No. Time to get out. Time to get out. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah, just 2 days ago.
So have they cleared out everything?
Well, they had everything sealed in 45 minutes, but at the time the chief didn't know how bad it was,
Right.
and we had to wait for the gas company to come because the fire department doesn't do that. You got to wait
Right.
for the gas company to come, so we wasn't taking no chances.
Right. And
Within
that's what I'm
within
talking about.
yeah, within 2 hours we came and we reopened the store, but at
Okay.
that point everybody.
When you're frozen. No.
I'm
Didn't hear what you said.
not back yet.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Like I said, we opened back up within 2 hours, but at that point I sent everybody home.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been too traumatized to sell candy.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's scary because it's risky. And like Vivian said, yeah, somebody would have given a green thumb to go back up in there. You can't take chances like that with people's lives.
Right.
You can't take
Mhm.
Right.
chances like that with people's lives. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Pastor KL. And thank God that all of you are fine.
Amen.
Amen.
You are fine. All right. We got Mama at the stove cooking rice. And the 13-year-old son starts hitting her, backing her up onto I think her second floor balcony. Let me see. Her second floor says he starts backing her up to her balcony that's on the oh wait, I thought it said yeah, I was right. The second floor. Her second floor balcony. And he says that he started hitting her in the head. He left for a few minutes and he comes back with a tree branch that he starts beating her with. And when he beats her with the tree branch, he backs her up again to the railings of the balcony where she feared he would try to throw her off. So she had a knife in her hand at this point, and she fought him off with the knife, but he was still backing her up onto the railing, hitting her in the head with this and beating her with this tree branch. She said it was very sharp, and the only reason why she feels he stopped is because he heard the sirens from the approaching officers. Now, I'm gonna let y'all talk. Tamika, Look at her face. Mama in the kitchen cooking rice. Papa somewhere shooting his dice.
That's all I heard. That's all I heard too. Someone's in jail, raising hell.
And you about to be pushed off the balcony.
What? Okay, so I come from a planet, a world where we didn't beat mom. If I tried to swing, there were certain things I couldn't even say to mama. There's certain in my adult life, if my mother was still here, there's still certain things I'd be getting up off the floor if still alive at all. So how in the world? So okay, I'm gonna go up to mom. I'm gonna hit her. I'm gonna hit her. Nah, this ain't good enough. Let me go outside because you ain't got no tree branches in your house. Let me go outside. Let me get a tree branch. All right, that's a good tool. I'm gonna keep beating her. Right back up to where I had her, and then I'm gonna stop because of the sirens. I'm just where they do that at? What planet do they do that at? That's number one. Number two, you couldn't fight your 13-year-old son. My mom, back in the day, if she couldn't hit me with her hand, she'd get a brush, she'd get an extension cord, she would get the book off the table, whatever it is that she could get to get and she wouldn't have to do much. She'd punch me in the eye if she had to. Whatever it is that she could get her hand, I come from that type of life. Whatever it is that if she could take the ironing board down, she gonna hit me with the ironing board. Listen, she's cooking rice. If I gotta take that pot off the stove and hit you with that hot rice, you know what it's like to feel hot rice on your skin? That stuff is gonna, it don't just pop, it's gonna stick and burn. And I understand that you love your son, but you are attacking me. And at this point, I gotta do whatever it is that I gotta do to stop you. And I'm amazed that, she let it go that far. I'm shocked. I don't know what world, they don't make mamas like they used to.
They sure don't. They sure don't. Shantice.
I'm already traumatized hearing about this. My past is coming back to the forefront of my mind. First of all, you gave a sucker punch. Okay? You wait till she's cooking. So if you're 13 and you're the oldest, then she's already in there trying to make sure the other kids don't run in there. Especially when you got a black mama. You got a black mama, you get beat alone for going in the kitchen. So I don't understand how this was working out. So you attack your mother probably because she ain't you to do iPhone 17 that just came out. Because that's what these kids are doing now. They want something, the parents say no, now it's like, now I gotta kill you. Now I gotta kill you. Is you go when you attack her. Then, as Lady Tamika said, in the midst of you swing, I know, and you leave, and you go get a switch, not for you, for your mama. You walk back in the apartment. So you would press the elevator button, got on the elevator, hit the lobby button, went outside, got a switch, went back into the elevator, went back up to the floor, went back in the apartment. So you have all that time to meditate on how angry you already were the first round. That's round two. Now the kids is watching you come back in. So now not only does she have to, now she got to kill you, now she also got to make an example out of you because now the other children are watching. So as to where I probably would have just snapped your neck to where you were paralyzed, but you nearly died. But now I may just have to go away because I can't let you help them think they can now come jump me, or one of them gonna stay on their own without huddling up with the rest, that they now can come do this too because little Johnny was successful. No, now I gotta make an example. this is just be, and then you backing me up to try to put me off. Your goal was to really take me out. One of us gotta go, and it ain't about to be me, because I gotta finish this race. So now, not only that, this rice done possibly burned, which means money done went down the drain. Now I gotta really get you, because now this go in the garbage. So already we got another situation. This is just these kids, and you know why? It's because the parents prior to this did not make an example out of the kids who tried to kill them. So now these kids thinking they got role models. So when they get mad, they gonna look up to Johnny in Memphis that did it. And now that I'm Johnny in New York, I gotta now live up to the name of Johnny in Memphis because that's my hero. No, absolutely not. Why obituary? Why she keep putting up song titles?
That's what I said. That's what I'm saying to myself. Boy, Tamika is on the quick draw today with her quotes. Oh my. Vivian, how does it go down in your mind?
Well, I come from a very dysfunctional family. So there was some fighting mamas in my house. But it was never to the point where we got a switch or anybody went and got a switch and did her like she would have did us back in the day. So that makes me think this is a black family, because I don't see no white person going to get no switch to beat mama with. But we won't know because, we won't know because he's 13, and I was trying to find a picture, but they're going to protect him because he's underage. So they ain't even going to put mama's picture out there because you'll be able to connect the dots. So we won't know. But yeah, come from a very dysfunctional family where hands were laid on mama. I ain't gonna lie.
Wow. There would have been 1 less, 2 less, 3 less child, 4 less, 5 less, 6 less child. Oh my gosh. Pastor KL.
I beg to differ. It got to be a light-skinned family. They got to be light-skinned. They can't be one of us. First of all, I'm trying to figure out what kind of bionic $6 million boy this is that you can go up against a black mama. Are you crazy? And the reason why I knew it was light skinned because the black mama had a knife. Are you crazy? And all I was trying to do was guard him off. I'd have got cut in my left breast. I got cut. That would have been the warning sign. That would have been the warning cut. If you kept on coming, I would have died. And then there is no black mother. I'm just telling y'all, I don't know how y'all don't see this. That's going to let you give me a break so that you can go outside and get a bigger. First of all, if you left my house as a black mama, you wasn't getting back in.
Okay.
How did you get back in with the tree? With the tree. You brought a whole tree inside. Listen, black folks don't want to carry their books to school. They're not getting no tree. A whole tree. You brought back Mother Nature inside and wanted to have a fight with your mother, the black one, the crazy one. Oh no, black people are the one who created, I brought you in this world, I'll take you out. So I'm trying to understand how y'all keep on saying, it must be black. No, this is not black. I'm telling you it's not black. This is he's either light-skinned or Puerto Rican. You named this boy Jesus, and he thought he was Jesus. But if he was black, no, it would not work out. I'm sorry.
But we're not talking about the old school black parents. The new black parents probably would have been. It could have been. The new school black parents ain't like that no more.
The new school black parents get killed because they didn't get their kids the beats. It was a 10-year-old. It was It was a black 10-year-old that killed his black mama because she didn't buy him the beats. Okay, it was these like Pastor Steph said. No, the lady said they're not making these kids. I mean, these parents the way that they used to, and that's why we can't find a picture. Because that's what I was trying to do. I couldn't find a picture. Nobody, not the super, not nobody, not the person who planted the tree. Nobody. They're not protecting no black kids.
Shantice, I would have gave him the beats. He would have got the beats all right. I would have gave him the beats.
But you're not a new black parent. You're not a new school. You're an old school black parent.
Oh my goodness.
That's different.
Ainsley says, doubt this was from a black family. That's Ainsley. And Ainsley said when the 18-year-old left out, the 13-year-old left out, he would have been locked out permanently. And that's what I said. If I had to stick a chair, put a knife in the door to keep you from opening it up, you wouldn't have got back in my house. Serge says these old black parents, these new parents are not built like our parents. So there was a rule in my house.
Summatization.
If I needed to hit you, I wish you pick your hand up. Because if I went to hit you and I hurt myself because you put your hand up the block, it was on and on and on. If I went to hit you and I saw you put your hand up, that means you want to fight. No. The rule was put your hand down. And I ain't saying that but twice. If I got to the point where I needed to hit you, I better not see your hands. Now, that's
it's amazing. It's a 40, y'all.
That shows you that this here would have never happened in my house. I'm cooking and me and you talking. First of all, we get to arguing is already the wrong thing. You 13, why are we arguing like we two adults? Stop it. No. Well, I said shut up, and I mean shut up. Or either me, you in this spoon, me, you in this pot, me, you in this frying pan, whatever it was going down. Period.
Basement.
And what'd you say?
Oh no, that's part of a rap song. She says going down. Basement. He said basement.
And I'm saying to myself, I'm reading this article and I'm like, and then when I saw it, he was gone. I'm like, gone where? And you're coming back for round 2? Oh no. I would have been going to jail for real. Because ain't nobody living in my house gonna fight me. It's time. One of us gotta go. And we ain't going peacefully at this point. Because once you felt you could lift your hand and fight me, no. Somebody going in the body bag. That's all I'm saying. Because Because see, I feel what I think Shantice, I think she was saying. See, like I said when I was giving the story, when I read that there were more children, she couldn't go to the hospital. And she didn't have anyone to watch her other kids. I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, and then you were doing this in front of the kids? So when you left, they were like, oh, I can try this. So now I got to keep going back and forth to jail? Because I'm
about to say, because now you got to pre-beat the other kids.
Right. Just to make sure you don't think you do this? No. I honestly believe it's on the other side of the fence. I do not believe. Although I hear you two, Vivian and Shantice, I hear y'all with the parents and Serge said the parents ain't like they used to be. I agree. From the stories we've done, they are clearly not. But I'm sorry. I don't see no black parent sitting back like this after you, unless she got a shotgun waiting for you to walk back through the door. I don't see it happening. When he left, that was it. That was it. That was it. And then it's a he. Oh Lord, just kill me. And it's my boy child. My boy child gonna beat on me? Oh no. No. Mm-mm.
Put the rice into me.
No. This here, you know, these children have gotten way out of hand. They've got, because you didn't find a whole lot of fighting back in the day, because like it was said, we were there. My mother went in the grave at 78 and sick. I wouldn't mess with Ernie, and I was 54. I ain't challenging her verbally. It's just stuff you just didn't do, and now it's like second nature to do this.
I'm sorry. Do you think that like stuff like this, like how we said we were looking for information on the child, not even information, but just like a photo, anything, even of the parent, and because they keep concealing this, it's helping these other kids believe that they can do this too and be successful at it. Because these kids are hearing about these stories as well. It's not just us adults. These kids are hearing about it too. I remember watching a Steve Harvey stand up, and he said he was in a mall and he almost passed out because he heard a light-skinned kid curse at his parent, his mother. And the way he turned was like, what? He said, and then on the other side of him, it was a black kid and his mama, and she almost passed out and looked at her kid and said, did you just see that? If you ever think, and started beating her kid just because her and her kid witnessed what that other kid said to, and he just looked and was like, because in our culture, that's regular. Just so you don't think, you don't know this kid. But before this kid become your hero or your hero, I'ma just set you straight from now. So do you think like even stuff like that, even with it being like this isn't my classmate or my family member or my friend or something, but they're getting away with this, so I could possibly, whenever I decide to, as they say in the streets, when I start tweaking, I can now go up against my parent or my parents.
Tamika, what's your thought?
We were taught don't even think it, and there are generations of that, and what we ended up with, we suffer from this thing called respect. What you're not gonna do. We wouldn't even, we might think it, but we wouldn't even, it doesn't even cross our mind. Either, like, we grew up, there were even words that we couldn't say in the household. We grown. I can't whistle at I'm grown. I wish you would whistle. You ain't gonna have no teeth, but it's, and that's how we grew up, and this idea of gentle parenting, it gotta stop. I witnessed the video where a black child was spitting at the mother, screaming, slapping the mother. This is the thing. When you allow them to do just a little bit, you've done too much. When you allow the open door to, oh, well, we're going to have a conversation. Okay, conversation is one. Your range, your tone. I remember back then, you couldn't state things in a certain kind of way. You couldn't fix your face. The crease on my forehead, you couldn't do that, and that's the problem. You allow so much to go on, that it becomes every day. This is not the first time that child hit her.
No.
That child sitting in the lap. At that point, I remember my mother used to black all the way out. I would see her eyes roll in the back of her head. I just, the fact that I think that it was too many open doors, and it had been open doors for far too long, to the point that you allowed him to go through that much. Go away, come back a second further. So this is stuff that has happened more than once, And unfortunately, like you said, you got a household of children. So not this one. You're going to have more. I can't tell you how many other things I guarantee the other children have done. Because if this one, the older one, has done it, then there had to have been another one that did it as well. That open door policy is way too much.
Yep. Vivian, how do you answer Shantice's question?
Well, I think children of our time wouldn't have thought of that, because we had parents like them that wouldn't have even let that thought cross your mind. If they even had a feeling that you had something planned like that, it would be on. But children of today's time, yes, I can see that happening, to where you see someone doing something or saying something to their parent, they get away with it. Now you think it's okay for you to do the same thing. I definitely see it in today's time, especially because the system is different. Back then, they got away with beating us with frying pans and extension cords and all of that. And even if the teachers knew, they wasn't really doing anything about it, because that was just the norm back then. Today, you can't get away with stuff like that. You can't discipline your child at all. At all. You can't put your hands on the child at all, because if they find out, the people are coming to your house. So today's time, yes, I can definitely see that being a thing.
Okay. Pastor KL?
Well, I beg to differ. The teacher didn't do nothing back then, not because it was the norm. It's because they knew they had to deal with that Negro in there for 4 days a week. They knew he needed to be beat. They were on the side of the parent. They was tired of little Johnny. You know, I think the problem is, and I see it all the time in my stores, the little kids come in here and want potato chips, and they scream and they have tantrums and they slap their mama, and their mama go buy it. I'm sorry. You slap me, I'm slapping your back. How can I teach my child that someone hits you, you hit them back, and I'm going to let you hit me? Now, the problem is at a young age, you know, when the child hits you, it's cute. That ain't cute, because now you got 13-year-olds with trees. Why we ain't smiling at that now? Why we not laughing at that now? You know, we need thy rod and thy staff to comfort them. Somebody need to lay hands on these little children. You know, this is where we need to go back to. So, and y'all not gonna like it, but if one child gets one good beating, I promise you the house will be okay. Mm-hmm. The house will be fine. All they need is one good beating. You know, you ever been in church and they say, will there be one? Will there be one? You just need one. I'm sorry. Because if that 13-year-old is that bad, trust me, everybody after him is worse than the 13-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting with a whole conglomerate of children that I'm supposed to be in charge of. No, I'm sorry. Will there be one? Please come. Come by letter. Come by whatever. Just come.
You know, as you were all talking, especially Tamika, I was thinking back in the day, you couldn't suck your teeth. If they said something to you and you walked off too fast, they snatch you back. You didn't do nothing, but just turn too fast. That they took their body language as disrespect. Mm-hmm. You couldn't look a certain way. Like when your parents would reprimand you, or when they were talking to you, you had to look at them. You couldn't be looking all up in the air. And when you looked at them, you better not look a certain way. Don't look too hard. Don't look like you challenging them. You know how they tell you don't look a dog in their eye? They were the dog, and you were the one not supposed to look at them in their eye like that. They read everything. They read through everything. They caught it before it got to stage 1. And that's where they were. Because if they allowed you to go to step 1, their fear was, now I got to pull you down from the mountain. So before you even have an opportunity to get that far, let me just help you understand where we not gonna go. And I just ended up raising my kids the same way. It's like certain things, like I said, don't even put your hand up because, of course, when somebody hits you, you go to block. No. We just ain't taking that kind of chance. So I'm we taking that kind of chance because you might be sneezing and you no. Then no. And that's the way.
Traumatization.
What?
Traumatized with the thought.
The traumatization.
Picking up your hand. Don't even flinch. Here's my thought. I wouldn't be standing in your face if you didn't do something. So you don't have a right to block. Take it.
Wow.
What?
I wasn't the type of person that all of a sudden I'm just going to come talk and just have a beat in your face.
I just want to know what child is standing there.
I don't care.
And letting you box with them.
Okay.
And ain't nobody blocking nothing.
If I hit you and I hurt my hand because you blocked the blow, so now I get hurt reprimanding you, and now I can't write at the job. I can't type. My fingers are no.
Listen. When the old saying of "it's gonna hurt me more than it hurts you" becomes true, you gotta get beat more because it ain't supposed to hurt me more than it hurts you.
No, that's not happening. So I'm going back to where I started with. They just circumvented anything. And see, when people say, "Oh, she used to throw a shoe at me," and she picked up whatever she saw, that's because they weren't taking the time to go find anything. Those moments and seconds mattered. This is how I know this ain't old school parenting. Because like I said, he left the house. She said he was gone for a little while. Do you know what an old school parent would have done with that little while? You would have had a hot second. You wouldn't have left on your own. They would have been chasing you out the house. See, for you to even say he left for a little while, you actually gave him a chance to leave on his own, and he didn't fear for his life. He actually was that bold that he came back with something to finish the job. These are the kind of things we have to think about. This is thought. This is forethought. This is a plan. And like you all have said, to answer your question, Shantice, absolutely. You have to be an example, weren't you?
The traumatization.
The example. I'm going to tell y'all a quick story. Vivian's heard this story before. So we have a long counter, and at the end of the counter, I'd served Shantice her plate of food, and I was standing in the middle of the counter. So when I gave her the plate, she immediately started eating out of the plate. So I said, "Go take your food and sit down. Didn't I tell you not to eat standing up?" She says to me, "Well, you do it." Well, she must have caught what she said from the it. And all I knew is she grabbed the plate and took off running. And she had to turn a corner, and she went to run up the stairs. Well, that was in my prime, baby. I was not no fibromyalgia mama back then. She ran, and so did Stephanie. She got halfway up them steps. I pulled her backwards. And I said, "And you better not drop my plate. You better not drop my plate."
That's why I was able to be a server, and I could carry 4 plates at once. Without dropping them. Thank you. She helped me make my money. 12 years.
You taught her balance.
In the restaurant industry, because I had to be dragged down the steps on my back while holding the plate upright, not dropping the food nor breaking the dish. That's a gift from the Lord. Multiply those talents, y'all.
And I promise you, it wasn't a thought, like I didn't plan to say that. But all I could see was food everywhere, plate, glass shattered. So now you're gonna break my dish, my food going to waste, and who gonna clean this up? No, we're not doing that. And it was just there was just no, it was just disrespectful. You don't tell her, you don't tell me, or you do it. It was just certain things we just didn't, like Tamika said, we didn't say to our parents. If you thought it, you better shut up and think it, and let it be between you and Jesus. Because once it hit the air, it was dealt with. And I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging on what I did. What I'm saying is, there's just things like that were not tolerated. And I was gonna make an example out of her, because at that time it was just her and Shawnee's. It wasn't even no Tamasia at that point. It was just her and Shawnee's. But when I tell you I had no problems out of Shawnee's, I had no problems out of Shawnee's. Now I don't know if I didn't have any problems out of Shawnee's because she said, "Oh, Shanti's got it all," because she's a glutton for punishment. I don't know, but no, you do have to set the tone as a parent for your home. Because if you don't, like Pastor KL said, then you fighting the whole household. Who's fighting the whole household of kids? And I'm the one that's supposed to be the breadwinner and take care of you. And no, we can't. It's not we're not doing that. We can't do that. Now I'm going to ask you something, Tamika, in a matter of opinion. What was that? The way we were raised. Do you see it now, or have you ever seen it as extreme?
There were times where I would say that there were some things that were extreme, like the phrase, and I'm sure our set on my left would be able to attribute to it. I'm beating you for old and new. Wait a minute, I haven't done anything.
Wow, I never heard that one before.
Oh no, I got beat for old and new, just in case I did something wrong, or if somebody said that I did something. Wait, you didn't even ask. I got no inquiry as to what I did, and I can tell you, yeah, I was there. I was with such and such, but I didn't do it. If a teacher said I did it, and now granted, there were times that I did, but there were times I'm not always guilty. I got no questions. I got beat immediately. Go in that room, and you knew when you go in that room, my mother would beat me and then tell me to go pray. Who does that?
Wow.
Yeah, there are times when it is extreme, but if you the bad, the good outweighs the bad, because like I said, the end result was respect, and I learned what I'm not going to do, and you wouldn't have to do it for the other ones as much unless you got. Now children are different. Sometimes you still got that one that's going to buck against you, but you have to make an example so that the other ones know, don't try it out. Children know who they can try. They know who can they know who they can test. And obviously he knew that he could go this far.
Yeah, I agree. I felt the same way about the fact that it wasn't his first time hitting her. He was too comfortable hitting her in the head, backing up in a balcony. Yeah, he had done this before. Shantice, how extreme do you think it was? I got to ask you a different type question.
The traumatization. I got the just in case beatings. The teacher saying something, and I'm like, that's not what happened. I didn't have, and then I was told, well, just in case it did. And then I got beat. And I'm like, how does this work? So am I supposed to reserve this? Am I supposed to just bake this? I don't know. But, at the time, all kids feel like, you ain't got to hit me. You ain't got to go all out and do all of that. As an adult, and especially looking at these kids now, a lot of times I just walk up to my mother and say, thank you. She's like, for what? Just say you're welcome. Thank you. Because it really just helped to straighten you out. And me and my friend one night, we were talking, and we were talking about like these scenarios we've been through, and he just started laughing. He said, "Yo, we was getting abused. Like, what's happening here? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, "No," I said, "We got beat." And the just in case beatings, the for old and for new, something borrowed, something blue, all that was just so when it came to mind, because again, these thoughts come to mind. We all got these thoughts. When the thoughts come to mind, I don't have to beat you at that moment because you already got on reserve when I knocked you down the stairs last week. Just in case you think it, I was proactive. We had proactive parents back then. We didn't have reactive or just stagnant parents. So at the time, yes. Now it's like, no, it wasn't extreme. And I personally feel like these kids are getting beat enough. It needs to be like Brother Al says, he had, I got a school for this, just send the kids over here and we'll beat them and send them back home. Something needs to go on because they're just getting away with way too. They don't know what it is to be reprimanded for anything, which is why it gets to this point where they feel like they can now challenge any adult, their parent, anybody, as if we're equals or you're someone younger than me, because there's absolutely no type of reprimand.
Okay. Vivian.
Yes, it was very extreme and unnecessary to be beat with pots and pans and brooms and extension cords and anything you could put your hands on was very extreme. And I don't think kids today should have to suffer that type of beating and abuse. That wasn't beating, that was abuse. Don't try to minimize it, Shantice, because your mama's here.
I ain't
It's
never.
all right.
No, hold on. Let's for the record. Shantice said never got beat with nothing but a belt.
Nice.
On my hand.
I don't have that story.
Right. And she's sitting here. What that mean?
Yeah, that's not her story. Her story is not extension cords and pots and shoes. No.
Right.
Well, I don't have that story, so it was very extreme for me.
Okay. Pastor KL.
Listen, my father should have been in jail. It was child abuse. It was nothing but child abuse. But I survived it. These folks ain't getting no kind of abuse. They ain't getting no love taps. They ain't getting because I love you, I'm beating you. Because you did bad, I'm beating you. Because you might do bad, I'm beating you. They ain't getting no I'm beating you. I'm telling you, and I'm sticking to it. Give them one good beating. Give them one good, hey, go take a shower. Come outside, don't dry off. Get them one of those. You ain't never had a wet beating. Listen, that little dry beating that y'all getting, where they little pop your pamper or pop your, oh my God. You need one of these down home Geechee beatings. Then you'll understand. And then the problem is, listen, my father beat me so bad, he knew I hated him. But he beat me so bad, he knew I wouldn't try him. Because I knew what was coming. These kids think they could take you. Man, I wish you would. I'd have to shoot you. These kids nowadays, you gotta shoot them. You can't beat them no more. When they try to come at you, you gotta shoot these kids. Now I know that sounds kind of harsh, but if you come after daddy, listen, daddy coming after son. The life you save may be your own.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I'll answer that question from my raising. My mother was the type, she snatched me up. It wouldn't matter. If she felt that I didn't get a lot of beatings. I didn't get a lot of beatings. I wasn't the type that like did stuff, and definitely I wasn't a repeat offender. If I got in trouble for something one time, you ain't never had to worry about me getting in that again. But she was a type, she would snatch you up and she wouldn't care who was around. She wouldn't care who said what they did. She snatched me up in church one day. and ripped up the top of my dress. Yeah, she snatched me up. And I remember not, no kid likes to be beat or hit. I don't care whether you deserve it or not. Nobody likes that. But I don't remember, and I'll put it like that. I don't remember feeling like abused or like she was doing too much. I don't remember feeling like that. I do remember feeling I didn't like it. And like I said, that's all kids. It doesn't matter how. And I'm not talking about little. I'm talking about I was like in high school, and she was like, she didn't care. When I got older, I understood it, and I understood that you know if I had to be reprimanded, that's what she did. And like I said, for me, it wasn't a lot of times, but I definitely understood it. I just happened to have a daughter who you just had to boop a little more than I had to boop because she had a hard head. You tell her don't do something and she just did it and had to prove you wrong. So definitely the dynamic was different between my and her. And again, I came from an era where you knew quick the things you just couldn't do. Like I said, with the millennials, that era, you actually did something with us. You don't think it. Like I said, if you turned off too fast, you shut your teeth, you roll your eyes, you look like this or whatever, they were already on you before you could even really do anything. They were on you. So I don't remember feeling like it was abusive. Now, do I feel like I abused Shantice? No, I don't feel it. But people would say, "Well, of course you didn't. You was the one who was doing it." No, I don't feel like I
She
was
did not abuse me.
uh, uh, I don't feel I abused her. I just hit her. I hit her. I'm a single parent, and you ain't running over me. So we gonna handle this. And like I said, I didn't have to really deal with Shawnee's much. But Shanti, she would, on occasion she'd try you. And, you know, oh well. She done met Jesus in a different way now. But, I do realize that, when I hear the stories and when I've always heard the stories of, people who got hit with extension cords and, a pot and things like that, I was like, dang. And that's why I said, a little while ago that was not my thing. I always did feel, even back then, I felt that was extreme. You get a belt, you beat them, call it a day. Or like I said, a lot of times I ain't going to find, I'm just going to use my hand. I'm just going to smack you, and that's what she would get, pow, you know, and would never see it coming. That's because I ain't got no time to go look for a belt or tell her to go get no belt and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm just going to hit you, guys, about your business, and I hope you learn your lesson. But I do feel that, there were certain things that, to hit with extension cords and all kinds of things like that. I do feel that was extreme, and definitely wouldn't agree that, we go through those goes to those, lengths of things. So, um, we're gonna have to deal with God. However, and I always say, our way of thinking is not his way of thinking. So maybe he feels I abused her. What my thought is may not be his thought. And I may have to answer to, my slap. Did he accept it as abuse? And I have to deal with God. So, if we're talking about these kids here now. And before we go, I'm going to extend this a little bit. Before we go, we've talked about our own experiences. We've talked about this particular case. How do we feel in these days and times, especially you, Shantice and Vivian, who feel like these are definitely some exceptional children. How do you feel we need to deal with these kids in order to, quote unquote, get their attention, to, hopefully make a change? Because even with our own children, you don't deal with children the same way. You got 5 kids, and you're not going to deal with them the same way. You have 2 kids, you're not going to deal with them the same way, because everyone does not accept the same reprimand in the same manner. So what would you say the answer for today would be? And I'll start with you, Tamika.
I feel like Celie when she told Miss Sophia, beat him. That's another. We got another quote here, but these children. These children, because it's these one in many, that have gone too far. How do you now sit this child down and let them know? Because at this point, he already had the upper hand. You got to show him who's got the upper hand. By any means necessary. Is talking going to work? It depends, because every child is different. There are some children that you can talk to, but this one has already gotten the upper hand. And, somebody's got to be able to discipline this child. This child needs discipline, and I don't believe that a conversation, maybe she needs to have somebody come in there and tell her, show her how to, correct her children, so that this doesn't happen. Because my thing is, surely after this has happened, those other children she's going to have to work with, okay? Going to have to teach them that that's not the way that function, I think this child might need a juvie hall, this experience, to let you know when you start doing stuff like this, you need to go to juvie, and maybe one of those scared straight situations, because my thing is, if I can't control you, somebody's going to have to. And if I can't do it, then your next step is going to be jail.
Okay. All right. Shantice, with you and Vivian, like I said, you and Vivian have voiced these children, this generation here. Do you feel you can correct and reprimand without any physical use?
You can with some. It's not a blanket. It's not a blanket. I look at my niece who, if I even put any tension or bass in my voice, her eyes is watering. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, I don't understand. And it gets me annoyed sometimes because, again, I grew up in an era where your eyes started watering because you got that beating you deserved. So if I'm just talking to you, you better shut up. And but again, I have to understand the generation this is, and also understand what type of child she is specifically. Then you have other kids who you may need to really roll up on them, stand over their bed. So when they wake up, they get that reminder as to who's in charge here. So it can't be just like that blanket answer of, yeah, you can discipline without. No, it shouldn't be your first recourse, but some kids, they need it a little more. I feel like with these kids now, the number one remedy is paying attention to your child. Because most of these parents, 93% of these parents, do not pay attention to their children, and until it gets to the point to where they're backing you up on a balcony. And now it's like, well, what was going on? And the other kids may be looking like, well, you ain't see this coming, because I sure did. It's just like, you have to stop letting these devices babysit your children. Stop letting these devices influence your children. And maybe you wouldn't have as many problems, or the problems wouldn't get to a certain degree. So paying attention and understand. Once you pay attention, you'll understand how each child needs to be reprimanded. You'll see if the punishments work, or if it's the punishment and the beating, or if it's only a beating. You'll be able to have that discernment. But if you're not paying any attention And I was just about to say the same thing Lady Tamika said. All this billions of dollars they looking to invest in casinos. What happened to the Scared Straight? The Scared Straight came a mighty long way. It went from them having the kids sit in one cell and just listening to the inmates talk and scaring them to where the parents would sign off that the kids could spend the night in jail. And the inmates could do whatever with limitations. But really, and you saw the success rates, because sometimes they had like the follow-up after. You have some kids need that. Some kids it doesn't have to get that far, kids it does. But again, paying attention to what your child needs. You don't pay attention, you can't be all that taken aback and flabbergasted when they now try to come at you, whether it's verbally or physically.
Okay. All right. What about you, Viv?
If I'm going with my trauma, I'm like, don't put your hands on these kids. But like Shanti said, it's not a blanket statement. I don't think they need to be, beat like we were beat, but some of them do need a little pop here and there. But I think the biggest problem with the kids of this, like younger than us, is that parents are too busy trying to be friends with these kids, and they're not disciplining them in any way. And they're thinking that the things that they're doing when they're little is cute. They're too busy filming it and putting it on Instagram that they're not catching that this is going to be a problem when they grow up. So I think if they really pay attention to their kids and, discipline them when they're younger, it wouldn't get to this point to where he now beating you with a tree branch. Because you would have caught some of these behaviors when he was younger and you would have put a stop to it. So I don't think it's a blanket statement. Everybody don't need to be beat. Some of them need a little pop here and there, but I do think that there's ways that you can deal with these kids without putting your hands on them. Especially like, what's Mariah? Gen X?
No,
Gen
she's
Alpha.
Yeah.
So I don't think, like, alphas, they soft. So if you got alpha kids, I don't really feel like you have to beat them. But maybe these pandemic babies, they need some sense knocked into them. But not everybody.
So because Shantice and Tamika offered alternatives for a child that you don't beat but need to reprimand, how does that get done?
I think starting when they're young first, making sure that you're letting them know the things that they're allowed, the things that are okay and the things that are not. If you're starting off young, then all you have to do is talk to them, let them know. If you're catching it when they're young, now if you've waited, then that's a different story. But if you're doing it while they're young, I think just a conversation will work.
Okay. All righty. Pastor KL.
I love my two nieces, but I think they're delirious. I really, really do. I heard them say that certain children from Alpha or whatever are soft. Listen, no one came out listening to Tupac. We were all soft when we came out. It's the structure that's in your house. Stephanie and I were the Scared Straight. We were the system. We didn't have to send y'all to jail to learn Scared Straight. And Stephanie has great children who turned out to be great. I have children who turned out to be great. You know what I mean? But there had to be structure in the house. I'm tired of hearing, well, it's this generation who's acting like this. No, it's the parents of that generation. If everybody kept on going the same way, we would have the same kind of children. Yeah, one or two might have, crossed the line, but we wouldn't have all of this. So when y'all say, well, maybe we shouldn't be, or maybe we should just pop. Listen, we got beat. Shantice got beat, and look, she's successful. She got a successful beating, but she's doing okay. Vivian, you had trauma, but you doing okay. Listen, I was abused, but I'm doing fantastic. I don't care. If I look at you and you cry, I'm sorry. Wipe your tears. Wipe your tears. We keep on wanting to be their friends. We don't want to be like our parents, but our parents is the one who got us to the next level. Y'all crazy if y'all think, well, we just gonna talk. It was those light-skinned folks that said, okay, let's do timeout. Black folks did timeout a long time ago. It's when we wanted to catch our breath. Timeout. Timeout. Okay, come on, let's go again. We had time a long time ago. That didn't just come up, but we had to catch our breath. Y'all delusional.
Okay. Wow, we have had a full circle conversation, and this is a lot to digest, a lot to think about, a lot to consider. And I love the panel variation because you get a plethora of experience as well as thought process. I as Vivian and Shantice has been on together, I find they think a lot alike. I find they think a lot alike. Whether I'm not saying good, bad, right, wrong, or different, but I find they think a lot alike, and I'm like, wow. So I'm wondering if it's a gen, because you're the Y. They just don't call you wise, but I think is it, a millennial thing, and again, you are the parents now. You're the us,
Mhm.
and I see the evolving, and I always say y'all are in the middle. Y'all are right in the middle. Y'all have, okay, we should and we shouldn't. And again, it's all based on experience. So, Tamika is a little younger than us, but a lot of her experiences fall in where Pastor KL and I actually experience. She describes my mother. She describes Pastor KL's, um, discipline. So it's definitely, you see the difference between the older generation and the millennial generation. You were the ones who were disciplined by us, and now we're watching those who were disciplined by who you're disciplining. So I love the panel variation because you get a lot of different um, feedback and thought process. So this has been great. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I actually didn't plan on this being our topic today, but we always land where God wants us to land because I don't know if you saw, but the viewership was toggling. It toggled quite a bit this morning. So we don't know who caught what and how long they were here for. But we've given them a whole lot to listen to. Thank you so much, my Due Time crew, and your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
You
God
too.
bless
Have a
Thank
good day,
you
everyone.
too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of some of these comments. We got Serge, who's closing us out in the comments. That cold shower in bed was the worst. Meaning, while you were sleeping, you got a bucket filled with cold water and got beat out of your sleep. So, boy, does that sound pretty traumatizing. Oh, gosh. Um, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I never experienced that. So it sounds torturing, Serge. um, it's a lot to think about here. There's a lot to think about. A lot to think about here because the results is what we're all looking for. That's the thing. As I'm listening and as I'm speaking and as I'm assessing what everyone's saying, we're all looking for a certain result. And what are we resorting to get to that result? What do we need to resort to get to that thought? And Tamika's right, to beat or not to beat is that is the question. So I didn't know that she was gonna pop up with that, and I don't know, whether she thought I was gonna say that, but that's where we are. You have old school that did it one way. Does that mean that one way was right? Not necessarily, but they gave us what they knew because they wanted a result. And based on the child, they may have had to resort to. As we then became the parents, we wanted a certain result. And based on the child, we may have had to resort to. Here we are with a mix between Z's and alphas. I don't quite know where the Z's end and the alphas begin, but I have my youngest daughter who is 27, God spares, in a couple of weeks, who's an alpha. I'm sorry, who is a Z. And I have a granddaughter who is an alpha. Now people say, what does that mean? What difference does that make? Well, here's the thing. I'm watching, and Vivian brought up the betas. Well, the betas just started 25, so we can't count them. They're alphas. We're talking about she said those pandemic kids. Pandemic kids are in the alpha range, because like I said, betas started at the top of 25. So we have, if you think about it, we have a series of different people. The boomers, they were one set of people. They had this available to them, and they worked this way and raised that way. You then had the Ys, the X's, which was my generation, Pastor KL and Tamika. And we had this available to us, and we worked this way. And then you moved into the millennials, who are the Ys, and they had this available to them. We had those of us who were the X's. We crossed over into that technological life. We crossed over into the credit boom. We taught our parents how to, get credit, and they didn't know anything about that. They were cash only people. As the millennials came in, the technological part was moving greater than it was moving for us, but the credit was in its full swing at that time, with a lot more to offer. But yet they were stuck between being raised a certain way, but and being appreciative, but being resentful at the same time. So it gave them some mixed thought process of, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do that because I didn't like. And they were the ones who began I'm not sending my kids to church because I was always made to go to church. That's the generation where that got started. Because in generation X, they took us. If you weren't taken, you were sent with. We did the same thing. And then now the millennials are deciding to do it a much different way. And thus the alphas and the Z's, we are now paying for that decision of the millennials who said, hey, I'm appreciative of this, but I resent this, and I'm going to have this brainiac combination where I'm going to try to do both. And as we can see, it is not working. When they're doing surveys of our alphas, they are finding such a breakdown in the person. This is the first generation where there won't be any Social Security in the bucket, because they don't want to work for what they think they're going to get later. They want that microwavable result. They are coming from parents who are mixed with discipline and practices, and they have fallen on the negative side. A lot of them are lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to do what it takes to work. See, when you have that work mentality, above them was we didn't call it grinding. That wasn't our terminology. Because see, grind is something where you doing this for a reason. I'm doing this because I'm trying to get somewhere. Boomers, those of us X's in my generation, we did what we needed to do to survive. We had families to care for. We know we needed to put a roof over their head, clothes on their back, food in their mouths, and that's what we did. We didn't call it grinding. It started to be called grinding when there was an ulterior motive and a different thought process in the goal. And when you get these breakdowns, don't kid yourself that you won't start getting different results. And that's what we're watching. We're still watching the result of this mixed raising, because as people like Vivian, she was abused. She said, I was abused. So, I don't feel you should hit the kids. Now, I know you might have to give them a tap or something every once in a while, but you have Pastor KL who comes back and says, well, what's a tap? What's a tap going to do? For a child who is disobedient, and we're watching it, a child who's disobedient, a child who is rebellious, a child who wants to do what they want to do, the educational system is broken. But where did it start breaking? When we started putting younger teachers in place who have that mixed mentality, who will snap quicker, and they are being challenged by the students who they brought here, who are our grandchildren. And this is the first generation where you are finding so many grandparents raising the children. Back in the day, there were grandparents that raised some of us. I wasn't raised by my grandmothers, but my extended family became my first family because they merged and they worked together. We ain't working together now. It is all about who's going to raise that child, whose homes are they in. Look at the mentality of these millennials. We have seen too many Instagrams of them dropping the kids off at mama's doorstep and said, listen, I got to go live my life. You had the kids, but you going to live your life, and what am I supposed to be doing with mine? We've had the mama dropping the kids with the attitude of, well, dag, ma, you can't keep them so I could go out. That's the millennials and below. That's not us. And when the children of these millennials who are behaving in this manner, who is pushing the buck and the responsibility, what do you think they're going to do? How do you think they're going to feel? How do you think they're going to think? This is a result of what the millennials have brought to the table, because we did what we did and how they received it. Pastor KL says he came straight out today and said, my father needed to be put in jail. But as an adult, he said to himself, yo, I got to look at it on another level. You have the millennials who say, hey, they did what they did and I'm mad. I don't care whether it was their attempt was to make me a better person. Well, clearly it didn't work. Because if you got to sit now and try to figure out what their goal was, or you don't care about the goal because you just resented what was being done, and don't misunderstand, I'm not saying if it was abuse, it was correct. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, or if it was extreme, if you will, whether it was correct or not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is your perception and what you do with it. What do you do with it? I, like Shantice, went to my mother and I was like, thank you. Thank you. Man, I didn't understand you then, but raising my own and looking at this world. And when I said that to her, I was looking at this. I said, thank you. I thought what you did was extreme at times, but thank you. Thank you. When I had to go to church, thank you. When I had to go to school, thank you. When you made me respectful, thank you. That is something that the millennial generation, they have come to resent. Not every one of them, but most of them. And this is why it's such a breakdown now. What do we do with this now? And that was my final question to them. What do you do with this now? Well, here's the bad part. If you split the pie in between, that's not working now. See, when you split the pie in former generations, it worked better then. They're resenting. If you think the millennials resenting it, oh, you are at straight war with the second generations. After that, the Z's and the Alphas, straight rebellion, straight resentful. What do you do with that? Every day I get on here and I try to close with an encouragement to seek God for yourself. And what I'm hearing, I talk to a lot of young people. And what I'm finding is, when I tell you they got to go through the ringer before they get to, okay, I'll do it. That's where we are. When I tell you, they got to pretty much be like one eyelash above the quicksand that they have stepped into before they say, I'll try it. And a lot of times it's only for a quick second. It's only for a quick second until their mouth comes above the quicksand. And then they're back to business as usual. It's that microwavable mindset. I just need a quick fix. I just need that quick, I feel better. And then I've forgotten about what God did. I forgot about the fact that I called on God. I forgot about the fact that I was jacked up. And I'm still jacked up, but I'm not as jacked up as when it was here and I couldn't breathe. But all God does is give them a little breathing room and they are right back to where they were. And I find that that wasn't the case prior to that. And don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that there was some perfection, but I'm telling you, I'm watching the breakdown. I'm watching the breakdown. And I'm saying to myself, this is amazing that this would be your cycle. This is a self-inflicted cycle that you got yourself to hear with all the warning and all of the direction and all of the guidance you got here on your own because of rebellion and bad decision. And when you cried out to God, he knew you weren't going to do it, but he gave you the breathing room. And when you got the breathing room, you went right back to this. And because that feels so good, you're here again. I have had people cry. Oh, Pastor Steph, I'm just trying. If only all I want is. And I am so unmoved now. I just sit there and I just look. Because I understand it's only a matter of a hot second before you're going to be back to business as usual. I ain't moved. I'm going to preach and I'm going to tell you and I'm going to give you what God has for you. But I ain't moved. I'm not. Because I know that all you need is that little breather. Ain't nobody going to be able to find you. Church still going to be empty. There will be no Bible reading or praying for you. That all of this is just lip service. And this is all self-inflicted. And we're dealing with a God. We just got finished studying about Jesus, who was passionate, but yet compassionate. And he's passionate about going to his Father. He's compassionate about the fact that I'm watching this crazy cycle here of people who are going to be killing themselves. But unfortunately, even through the passion of trying to get you there and do whatever the God family needs to do to get you there, and through the compassion of, feeling bad and empathetic and sympathetic, because that's what compassion is. It's an understanding and a feeling bad. You're going to have to eat your consequences. That is something that will never end. Now, remember, God does not deal with us according to our iniquities. So when we can't breathe, when we're here, because of the mercy and grace of God, we're not here. Because if we're here, we're dead. We're dead. And God says, but I promise you, until the day I close your eyes, the opportunity is going to be there. The opportunity is going to be there, but it's up to you to make the decision. I'm gonna leave it there on the table. Excuse me, but it's up to you. What are you going to do with what's left on the table? Because I'm watching this go on at all times, and unfortunately, it's not limited to alphas, Z's, millennials. It's going all the way up to the baby boomers. I'm still watching baby boomers spinning around like a helicopter. And I'm like, you don't see what's happening here? You don't see, if you don't completely surrender to God, you don't see that if you don't come out your own way of thinking, you don't see that this just ain't working? What's the worst that could happen? God actually shows you something different if you surrender. People got their foot in the grave and one foot on a banana peel and think they're fine. Their rationale is top notch. And I'm like in disbelief, because no one is understanding that all of this is self-inflicted. All of it is self-inflicted. God has dealt with us in such a way that he has shown us what's better, and we still do it our way. Where has it gotten us? I am realizing that no matter how many questions I ask, no matter how long I listen, no matter how many scriptures, when you are not ready to listen, you're not listening. But where has it gotten you? is the question you need to ask yourself. It's easy to say we should beat or we shouldn't beat. Because here's the sad part about all of this. Even when we got the beating, we still do not change. That's the saddest part of this entire thing. And here's the thing. No matter, we take beatings in all shapes, forms, and fashions. God beat you with your money problems. God beat you with your family problems. God beat you with your employment problems. God beat you with your mental and emotional issues. God beats you with many things. But no matter what you're getting beat with, you're still making your own decision. You're still doing it your own way. So to beat or not to beat is not the question. It's more of what Pastor KL said. When you get the beating, how are you looking at it? What's your outlook? How are you going to allow it to affect you? Because those of us who never got a beating have become the worst people in society. And some of us who haven't gotten a beating have become the best people in society. Those of us who have been beat have become great to society. And those of us who have been beat have become the worst in society. Beatings ain't do a thing. So we've got results all over the place. What are you going to do with your beating? Because if you're an adult, you're not getting beat with your mama's belt anymore. You're not getting beat with that extension cord anymore. You're not getting beat with the shoe being thrown across the room anymore. You're not getting beat with the pot and pan and you're not getting that smack anymore. And that's something that I still have a conversation with Shantice about. When I was growing up, meaning when she was growing up, and I got you physically, and pow, it took one effect. Now, how are you going to handle God's beating? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to handle it? Because God says, I chastise those that I love and I call my family. So are we going to resent? Woo! Pay attention. For those who resented the physical beating of their parents, whether it was justified or not, watch how they treat God. They don't accept God's beating. I'm watching it. I'm watching it now. If you go back and ask them about their childhood, which I always do, I look and compare. When you were getting beat by your parent, this is how you felt. And I'm watching how you deal with God. Whether you've called yourself coming to the Lord or not, but I'm watching how you deal with God. When your parent beat you and it meant nothing, now that God is beating you, it still means not a thing. We don't realize that, as crazy as this may seem, there's a plan that is always in action. There's an allowance. And there are certain people that have been abused and have come out shining like gold. Because they've taken that abuse and they've channeled it. Because they can't do nothing about it. Unless you killed your parent, and risk going to jail or went to jail. There's nothing you can do about it. But they took it and they channeled it to making them a better person. Same thing with people who were crack addict babies, or heroin addict babies, or alcoholic babies. Some of them, they continue to perpetuate who their parents were. And then you got the other side that says, that ain't gonna be me. And they worked. Now, I'm not saying they necessarily accepted God, but that's the next step for them, because regular life has not beat them down. But if you watch a lot of people who are abused, they don't go to God so easily because they feel God is against them. Well, why God got to do that? I want to be made to be, to do anything. Yeah, there's a resentfulness that comes even in that relationship. So that's the question on the floor today. What are you going to do with what God has allowed to happen and who He wants you to be despite? Because back in biblical times, it initially started off that if your parents were sinful, the generations right behind it would fall into that sin. They were locked in to that sinful generation. And then after a while, God said, no, if you should decide to come to me, then I'll lift the curse. But you have to make the decision to break the curse. You have to make the decision to choose me. What decision are you making today? Because it is what it is. I don't care who likes that statement, who likes that saying. It is what it is. I can't change what my mother did or what my mother didn't do. But now it's about me and God. Let God deal with mama and daddy. But what am I gonna give to God? Because God has a plan for Stephanie's life. And God's plan for Stephanie's life, He's not gonna keep listening to, well, my mama, my daddy, my mama, my daddy. He's not gonna keep listening to that. Because what He's gonna show you is what He has for you. He's not going to expect you to make that decision because He's given you enough understanding that He has done this for you already. He's not that parent, but He has for you. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to keep on fighting Him and hating Him and resenting Him the way you resent your mother or your father who abused you, who was extreme with you? Or are you going to understand that you, regardless of your background, have been fearfully and wonderfully made? You were knit in your mother's womb. He called you by name despite what you went through. But that He has greatness in front of you. Your greatness. Not your brothers, not your friends, not your uncles. Your greatness. Has all your treasures stored up in heaven. Do you want access to that? Or do you want to live in the resentful mode for the rest of your life? The choice is yours. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping to keep that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now, despite history. Please don't miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, despite history. Because later is not promised to any of us. Until this evening, we're going to try this one more time with my 2 cents right here on A Closer Walk Christian Media Network, and Facebook Live, Coach for Christian Life at 7:30 with Brother Ainsley, Shantice, and myself as we review Unstoppable with Jennifer Lopez and The Fire Inside with Ryan Destiny. Come help us make the decision, or let us know, because we already have decided. Click it or kick it. Let us know your thoughts. Let's laugh and listen to Brother Ainsley chew and eat his snack. Boy, that's a movie in and of itself. I can't wait for you to join us tonight, God spares. If not, if we miss you, I would love to see you tomorrow morning, God spares, for Freestyle Friday. Until then, I love you.